happy to everybody that's listening to the sound of my voice. I am your girl, Dr. Telisa Franklin, right here on the Dr. Telisa Show. What we doing over here, Telisa? We're having those true conversations that matters to our community and our culture, and it is imperative that we have these community conversations. And one thing that I have found to be true in this great year of 2025, there is a lot of people dealing with mental challenges. And I keep telling people it's not okay for you not to get the help that you need so that you don't even have to just survive, but you can thrive in this world. Mental illness, mental health is so imperative. And on last week, y'all, I was super excited because our children are going through so many different challenges. But on last week, the MSCS Mental Health Center hosted the 13th annual Suicide Prevention Expo, creating hope by changing the narrative. It was happening at Craigmont Middle School. Y'all know I love Craigmont, right? I'm a chief to the day I die. For educators, youth, and parents. Our guest today is and has been a major part of this organization for the cause for many years. Dr. Rita Williams is a native Memphian and grew up in where? The historic Douglas community. She received in human services with a specialty in clinical social work from Walden University. Recently, she retired with 31-year career in the Memphis Shelby County Schools Division of Mental Health as a licensed social worker, school worker. Let me tell you, well, y'all welcome with me, the one and the only Dr. Rita. Hello there.
Hello, and thank you for having me today.
Thank you. So last week, you all pulled off an amazing expo. I think too many times people are not realizing that our children are having mental challenges. Kind of tell me about what you guys accomplished.
Well, as a school social worker for 31 years, we just want to dispel the stigma of mental health. And especially suicide among our teens is very, very high. And in this interview, I'm going to give you some alarming numbers.
Okay.
That many people just have no idea about the attempts of suicide among our students in Shelby County.
Wow. I was having a conversation with the young lady, and she's like, Telisa, these kids ain't what we used to be. And I was like, what do you mean? And I started listening to her. She said, we can handle more that they can't. And then I started saying, you know what? You're probably right. Because our children, when I grew up, I didn't have social media. I didn't have all these different devices to beat me down. I didn't have all that, but now they do. And they don't know how to handle it. Mm-hmm. And many of the parents are parents that are still children themselves. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so why is it so important to you? Because, some people have a job, and that's all it is, a job, right? But tell me, why is it so important for you to stay vital?
Well, looking at the numbers of deaths among our children from the ages of 10 to 21, the first leading cause of death is accidents. And the second leading cause of deaths is suicide. And the third is homicide. And many people think it will be homicide, but that alarming, the second cause for ages 10 to 24 is suicide. And that's so alarming. And I want to help to save our children.
Yeah. And I'm grateful for people like you that are dedicated to saving our children. So with the three leading causes, we know homicide, but suicide. What can a parent do right now if they feel like their child is having challenges? Or maybe what are some of the red flags, or what are some best practices people can start understanding that if your child is heading down that road? Because I've had someone dear to me have a successful suicide, right? And literally she planned out her entire journey, right? It's imperative now. I tell people we have to listen with our good ear and our good heart. What can a parent start listening for that's listening to us right now?
Okay. What I want to say is the number one factor behind suicide, I want to say ideation. I want to separate those two.
Okay.
Okay. Suicide is a complete act where you intentionally kill yourself. Okay. Now, suicidal ideation, that means having the thought. Okay. And so as a school social worker for 31 years, we would get 10 to 20 calls probably per day with the child just saying, I no longer want to be here. And so that's a suicidal ideation. And so if you can catch that and educate parents and educate the community on some things to do to get that child some help. And untreated depression is the number one cause of suicidal attempts or the ideation. And I say untreated because we know depression is such a high number in the mental health factors that a lot of people are dealing with. But I say untreated because I just say as African Americans, we just don't want to be labeled as having any mental health issues.
And that's true. And so one thing I've seen to be true, and I always share my own mental health journey, right? Is that when my grandfather, there was a man that to protect me, when he passed, I knew I was in trouble. But I couldn't tell nobody in my family because they were going to say, Lisa going crazy, right? So I went, and that what started me, right? I went and saw me a psychiatrist for a year or so just to get me where I can understand the man that I love now is no longer here to protect me, who's going to protect me, and how to deal with life. But and I go back from the church, being a church girl, in the church, we tell them what goes on in our house stays on in our house, or take it to the altar and leave it there. Baby, I could have went to the altar plenty of times, but I was still hurting and I was still having challenges. What would you say, because you're a woman of faith, to other women of faith, and being that you're hearing 10 plus a day? Baby, I know you got faith, but you got to have common sense to listen to what's going on. What would you say to them?
Well, you know, our pastor just talked about when you know better, you do better, when you ought to do better.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I would say, and this is what I've told people for a long, long time, when you have a medical problem, when you break your arm or whatever, you go to the doctor, you go to the church for your physical health. So you should talk to someone for your mental health. If you are suffering from any kind of mental health, depression or unresolved grief or anything, it's going to affect the whole body, everything. And so when you talked about grief, any kind of issues, any unresolved issue will surface.
Yes.
It's gonna come up in some kind of way.
And so parents, grandparents, aunties, and uncles, you seeing the signs that your children or your child or your loved one is getting off track. Don't beat yourself up later if they have a successful suicide when you have an opportunity to prevent it.
And I just want to say, every school, elementary, middle, and high school, they have a mental health clinician that's assigned, a school social worker or a school psychologist. And the guidance counselor is the contact person. Just contact your guidance counselor and say, I want my child to talk to a mental health clinician, a school social worker, school psychologist, and we'll take it from there. Now, if you're under 16, we would have to have parental consent. Over 16, you can sign your own consent.
So a child that's maybe 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, they can walk in there and say, I need some help.
Yes, they can.
But, you know, a lot of children probably say, well, is somebody going to know? You know how back in the day when people before I think it was SPED and IEPs, people was talking about the children in resource, and they never wanted to be labeled to go in resource. So the parents didn't want to have that on their back. They put them in regular classes, and now they're grown and can't read and write, right? But now the system has changed with IEPs and the 504s to help those children still be in those classrooms but get those extra added services. How can a parent tell their child, or if a child is listening, how can that young person go in there and ask without feeling afraid?
Okay. One thing, the mental health center has been around 55 years.
Wow.
55 years. And it was Legacy and Memphis City Schools. Now it's, then it went to Shelby County Schools. Now it's Memphis Shelby County Schools. But the licensed mental health center, and I said licensed, they are licensed and governed by the state of Tennessee. So that means that everything is confidential. And whatever you're talking about, or whatever, if it's suicide or homicide, now those things are not confidential, but everything else is.
You know, I just sit here and think about that. I couldn't imagine when you said about 10 a day, 10 plus a day.
Probably more.
I would have thought you probably said about 10 a school year.
Oh, no, ma'am. Oh, no, ma'am. I don't have the numbers, but it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Yes.
Community, we got to do it together. And we got to have those conversations so that our children won't die and they can live. Because a lot of times our children think their little problem is the biggest problem there is, and it's nothing.
Yep. And one thing I say about suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Ooh. Well, y'all, I'm gonna go to break on that because that was some dropping some tea, baby. Hey, I'm your girl, Dr. Telisa Franklin. Keep it locked right here for more powerful conversations that matter to our community and our culture.
Join the rhythm and feel the beat in our community where we're all complete. With Dr. Telisa, let's take a stand. Together we'll grow hand in hand.
From the
Dr.
roots of
Telisa
history
Show
to dreams we chase, Dr. Telisa Franklin shines a light on every face. In
At the
every
Dr.
heartbeat,
Telisa
there's a
Show.
story to tell. Gotta keep the culture celebrated as we excel here at the Dr. Telisa Show.
It's time for an upgrade. Let's upgrade your skincare routine. If you suffer from acne scars, dark spots, or severe hyperpigmentation, you need the Tones by Coco Brightening Moisturizer, Rapid Dark Spot Corrector, and you have to try our Kojic Acid Sea Moss Soap. These products work so fast, you can see results in just 7 days. You have to try. Shop now and get 10% off your first order at tonesbycoco.com.
Join the rhythm and feel the beat in our community where we're all complete. With Dr. Telisa, let's take a stand. Together we'll grow hand in hand.
From the
Dr.
roots of
Telisa
history
Show.
to dreams we chase, Dr. Telisa Franklin shines a light on every face. In
At the
every
Dr.
heartbeat,
Telisa
there's a
Show.
story to tell. Gotta keep the culture celebrated as we excel here at the Dr. Telisa Show.
Hey, y'all, we're back right here on the Dr. Telisa Show where we're having those conversations that matter to our community and our culture. And today's conversation, oh my God, y'all, is a conversation that has to be had. Why? Because many of our children have suicidal thoughts or have had a successful suicide. And I don't know about you all, but it hurts me to see our children suffering, and it double hurts me if they feel like they have to suffer in silence. I'm sitting here talking with Dr. Rita Williams. She's a recently retired MSCS social worker, y'all, where she's been in the trenches with our children. In the last segment you heard, it was deep, right? So you may be just not getting in the car. It's like, what's Lisa talking about today? Baby, we talking about some powerful suicide. And so, Dr. Rita, I know we talked about it a little bit, but I want you to reiterate, what are the 3 leading causes of death for young people ages 10 to 24?
Okay. The first will be accidents. The second is suicide. And when I say suicide, that's complete suicide. And then the third one is homicide.
So let's deal with number 2, complete suicide. And I know there's 2 different ways of talking about suicide. So there is the definition of suicide, or you have the one say, I'm finna kill myself. That's suicide.
Ideation.
Okay, kind of break those down for our listeners and our viewing audience so they can get it in their head to understand what's going on.
Okay, and like I said before, suicide is this intentional killing yourself. Okay, and I often tell the children, I say it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. There's no coming back. But suicidal ideation is like, well, I no longer want to be here. And it's really important that we learn and we communicate with our children. You know, I've heard people say, well, they said they just no longer want to be here. Are you talking about, I no longer want to be in school? I no longer want to stay in this house. I no longer just want to be at this place today. Or are you talking about a permanent no longer want to be here? So that's important to know how to talk to our children and to understand, you know, what exactly are they meaning when they say that.
And so some of our parents, they don't know how to communicate with their children. And because I always say a lot of it is generational, because their parents didn't know how to communicate with them. Now they don't know how to communicate with their child, and the child now is living in a whole different world than it was in the 70s and the 80s, right? This a whole new world, right? What would be some advice that you would give to a parent to be able to have one of those hard conversations? How do we move the needle for our young people to hear?
I think a lot of young people feel that if they talk to their parents will become angry if they're telling their business. Because I've heard children to say, my parents say, you better not be down there telling that social worker your business. They're going to take you away. And that's not true. That's not true. So just to be open to say, you can come to me, or if you cannot talk to me, then talk to a trusted adult. You know, I have no problems with you talking to the guidance counselor, the teacher, the coach. You know, coaches have good relationships with children. Or talk to your pastor, or talk to a youth minister, or someone. If you can't talk to me, you know, to be okay that your child is talking to someone, you know, to get the help that they need. And it's important to tell children that if you have a friend that tells you, you know, I want to kill myself, I don't want to be here, it is not snitching. It is saving your friend's life. And so we have to get to that point also.
And how do we handle, like right now, and I hate to say it, and I get so upset, there's all these different stupid tail social media challenges, right? And every child wants to go viral, right? There's so many children that's doing things to go viral, but nobody is telling them there's no way for you to see the viral because you dead. How do you handle that? Because in the school, there is so much going on. And with all these different viral challenges, many of our children are unaliving themselves.
And it comes back to the parents and to the guardians. We have so many grandparents now that are raising our kids, and it's important to monitor what your children are looking at on social media. And at night, there should be a cutoff. Remove that cell phone from their child, you know, and take it with you. You know, so it's important. And then it's important, like you said, to talk to the children to say, well, if you're dead, it is no way that, you're not coming back,
Mm-hmm.
or these challenges, this is not the best thing for you. Let's look at some healthy things that you can
Yes.
do. So it's just to teach our children. And unfortunately, when COVID came, many of our children were at home. So they lost some of those social skills, being able to cope with different things like that. So we have to get back to that. We have to get back to teaching our children how to problem solve, how to deal with different coping situations.
Yeah.
So it's important. And a lot of parents, we have to be able to do that ourselves,
Yeah.
in order to teach our children.
And that is a process, y'all. And I'm telling you, if you have had somebody that's in your family, that's close to you, that has tried to unalive themselves, listen, there's some challenges. Don't just keep telling them to pray about it.
Mm-hmm.
Go get the help. And I'm telling you, I am so over people telling people to pray about it. God gonna fix it.
Mm-hmm.
God has fixed it. He's put people here to help you navigate this thing called life. Stop telling people take it to the altar and leave it there. Baby, when they get back up, when the dark room gets dark, those same demonic demons is gonna start entering them. And what's gonna happen? God forbid, if there is a successful, it's going to kill you alive because you saw all the warning signs.
It's important too, every year at St. Paul Douglas, I have our back to school health fair. And it's not only to provide school supplies, but I have agencies that are there. They can help you. Mental health agencies, other agencies, up under one umbrella.
Yes.
And so it's important to have those things in the church. The church it used to be, it was the number one place for communication, to tell people about resources. And it's important to get back to that.
Yeah. And get back, because the church had been the place for our news, right? The church has been the place for we to get what we need. And so even with that, I want you to kind of help us, enlighten us on the data. Because people say, data this, data this. Let me enlighten you on the data for Shelby County High School students from the Youth Risk Behavior Survey from the Center for Disease Control in comparison to the nation. But first, what is the Youth Risk Behavior Survey?
Okay. The Center for Disease Control, and when I tell children that, it was like, disease control? But that is a agency that collects data. Okay. And so every 2 years, they administer a survey. It's random. And so what we've done in the school system, you have to go in and you administer a survey. And the children do not put their names on it, anything.
Okay.
But what it does, it collects risky behaviors. It looks at, do you ride in a car without a seatbelt? Are you engaging in unprotected sex? Are you using drugs? Have you thought about suicide within the last 12 months? So that data is sent out to the districts all over the world. So when Shelby County got their data, it was just alarming, because our students were the highest in the nation. So I just pulled the statistics from Shelby County government, and you can go on there and pull it and look at the mental health section. And it talked about the students in Shelby County. The statistics for suicidal thoughts were like 16.8%. For Tennessee, like 13.6, and then for the United States, the nation, like 10.3. So you got 16 comparison to 10, and so that's a high number.
Wow, I never would have thought that. Number one in the nation. Viewers, listeners, we got work to do. And before I go to this break, what can the community do now to help?
Okay.
Because we got to stop listening and let's start activating.
Okay. And what I can say, and like I said, I retired, but I can tell you firsthand. So what the Mental Health Center, what they're preparing to do every year, all fifth graders and all high school students, they will be a part of the Signs of Suicide prevention program. with parental consent. And I want to hold that until we come back.
Okay.
Because that's important, parental consent.
All right, parents, we need you involved, fully involved. Last week, MSCS, they did this mental health center. They did this suicide prevention week. There is so many different opportunities that's out here. But my question is, and we got to start saying, parents, we need you a little bit more involved. We know that you're working multiple jobs. Everybody's trying to make ends meet. But if we don't get a hand on this, we'll all be crying and unnecessary, because we having our future lawyers and doctors and presidents and all that, right? Unaliving themselves when all we need to do is just hear them. And so they'll know whatever they're going through at this moment is not the end of the world. They can literally be the change in the world. Hey, I'm your girl, Dr. Telisa. We'll be right back right after this.
It's time for upgrade. Let's upgrade your skincare routine. If you suffer from acne scars, dark spots, or severe hyperpigmentation, you need the Tones by Coco Brightening Moisturizer, Rapid Dark Spot Corrector, and you have to try our Kojic Acid Sea Moss Soap. These products work so fast, you can see results in just 7 days. You have to try. Shop now and get 10% off your first order at tonesbycoco.com.
Join the rhythm and feel the beat in our community where we're all complete. With Dr. Telisa, let's take a stand. Together we'll grow hand in hand.
From the
Dr.
roots of
Telisa
history
Show
to dreams we chase, Dr. Talisa Franklin shines a light on every face. In
At the
every
Dr.
heartbeat,
Telisa
there's a
Show.
story to tell. Gotta keep the culture celebrated as we excel here at the Dr. Talisa Show.
Again, y'all, we are having a powerful conversation right here on the Dr. Telisa Show. I am Dr. Telisa Franklin. I'm super excited to be here, but I'm super grateful to have a young lady in with me that is literally, y'all, done the work and is giving us the information that we need to get to the next level so our children can live. And so, Dr. Rita, there was some more you wanted to add, because there was more that we need to add, because we're really talking about this suicide with our children.
So in the Memphis Shelby County schools, because of the high number of suicidal ideations and suicide attempts, the board has asked, and this has been going on for the last 7 or 8, 9 years, that our like 5th graders in our high schools, students, they are exposed to what we call signs of suicide. And this is a whole day. It's like students, all the students will get this. But the piece is parental consent. And so a lot of parents now will be surprised, and they say, no, I don't want my child to go through that. Because the myth, what's the myth? If you talk about suicide, that's giving children the idea. If you talk about sex, that's giving, if you talk about protective sex, that's giving, children the idea of go on and have it. So that's the myth. If you talk about it, it's going to, encourage people, but that is not the truth. That is not the truth. That's like if you talk about, if you talk about breast cancer, you talk about any kind of cancer, that's a preventive piece.
Yes.
And so that's what this is. It gives the students a whole narrative. It has students on the video that has tried to commit suicide and some of the reasons. So the children, it's just a wealth of knowledge. And so that's going on now, and they will be finished probably by December. But it's in every elementary and in high schools.
Parents, I am challenging you to give the consent so that we can save our babies. We all are tired, and God knows I am tired of doing funerals for children. I'm going to tell y'all, there's a different pain when you're standing in the pulpit and it's a baby. And then you looking at the family. And then you're looking at some families that knew there was some challenges, but they could have prevented it. But instead, what goes on in our house stays in our house. We're going to take it to the altar and leave it there. Well, now the baby at the altar, unfortunately, in a casket, right? And so let's stop lying to ourselves, parents, and give the parental consent that our children need and deserve. Their voice should no longer be voiceless. Their voice should be a voice so that we can help somebody else. And I'm just grateful for what you're doing. So, Dr. Rita, is it more boys or more girls are more likely to die of suicide? I've always wondered that.
Boys are 4 times more likely to
Why?
die of suicide. The statistics are still out. They're still looking at different statistics and things like that. But looking at some of the ways that the girls would try suicide and some of the way the boys would try. And we know that, a lot of boys have the guns and different things like that. But the thing, too, that I wanted to talk about, too, that other piece is looking at the increase in African-American boys.
Yes. I'm going to. Was it black boys?
Yes. In 2020, I wrote an article, and I've just looked at some data. In 2020, the statistics went up 78% of African-American boys. 78. And I just went on the internet today. I said, let me make sure. Yes, 78.
Why black boy? And I say that, y'all, because I have a black boy and my brothers are black, and I know they've had some challenges, right? But I have a black boy, so I'm always trying to open up my ear to make sure, because a lot of times people think that children and young people unalive themselves because their homes are bad or this and that. But I think it can matter no matter what your social economics are, no matter what your family background is. Life can life, and these young people are not able to handle it.
But then, too, we have to look at just girls and boys. If I'm depressed, then girls are more likely to say, I'm feeling sad or whatever. But what have we taught our boys?
Don't you cry? Don't you cry?
Yeah, to be strong, to not talk about your feelings. You got to be tough. You're the man of the house.
Yeah.
Different things like that. And then the accessibility of guns.
Yes.
Just some of the statistics of how children are dying. We know there are hangings. There's like the railway, like jumping in front of a train or jumping from heights, or more girls would be probably the intoxication or the alcohol, and more boys would be the guns and drugs. So it's a lot of research are still being done. We don't have the answers, so that's why it's important, if you have a child that is talking about it, to get some help so people can understand and kind of see what they're going through. Discrimination. You look at bullying, different things like that. Unresolved conflicts, grief, or whatever. You keep all those things inside, it's got to come out some way. And if you have very poor coping skills, or just don't know, or you just talk where you don't talk about this and you just pray about it, where is it going? So there's a lot of things, a lot of work that we need to do.
And so even when we don't talk about it, there is a lot of, especially black boys, and sometimes I'll watch these stories and I'll just be like, Lord, help, pray. And I was like, Lord, I thank you that's not my son, but that is somebody's son, right? And now with the rise of drugs, from the fentanyl and all these things, that people are illuminating that this is good, right? And even the music, right? I believe, like there was a time, my son, there was a particular artist, and I noticed him like in 2 weeks. I was like, what's wrong with you, Charles? And I know my son, right? And he's like, nothing, Mom. And I literally said, give me your phone. Let me see the music that you're listening to. Because parents, The music that our children are listening to will put them in a state of depression, and they ain't got nothing to be depressed about, right?
Yep. And like my pastor say, whatever spirit you feed the most is what's going to come out.
It's going to come out.
It's going to come out. And I don't know all the statistics and everything, but I remember reading a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, the young man that committed suicide because of AI. You know, if you would look at that, and it's just a big thing. He was saying, I feel so sad and everything. I want to tell my parents, but AI was saying, oh, no, don't tell your parents and don't do this. And he talked about suicide and how he was assisted. So I don't know the outcome or what's going on with that. But to parents, to grandparents, and I say grandparents because I know there are a lot of grandparents, great-grandparents, aunts, uncles that are raising the children, any kind of difference in behavior. And that's with adults.
Yes.
Depression. If you have a change in eating habits or a change in sleeping, anything that's different, you know, you need to be alert, you know, to that sort of thing. Difference in their friends, isolating themselves, you know. I don't want to play basketball anymore. I don't want to play football. I don't want to do nothing anymore. Giving away their prized possession. You know, somebody got some Jordans or whatever they wear now.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I just gave them to my friend. Oh, you know, something is definitely wrong. We need to talk about this. We've had children to write out their funeral programs.
Oh, my God.
Yes. Even in schools now doing like English class, you know, how you have to write an essay.
Yeah.
And that has happened so many times in the school system where a teacher might say, this student wrote this essay and it's not right. It's not right. So if you think something is not right, talk to someone. Yeah. And what we're trying to teach our children and everyone, the acronym ACT. Okay. If someone come to you and say something, you want to act. Don't just sit there, act. And then show that person you care. You show a person you care by telling someone, I'm going to talk to someone. We're going to get some help. I don't care if they get mad at you or whatever, but you're saving a life.
Yes.
You're saving a life.
Wow. Yeah. I'm telling y'all, that's deep, right? And just to see and to hear from the AI. And let me be honest, y'all, parents, adults, watch AI. I think we're getting so comfortable with using AI, we're not using common sense, right? And there's sometimes when you put something in AI, it'll tell you what to do. And I know exactly what you're talking about. Like if you writing something, you want to reword it, you don't want to use your brain. But if you don't say reword it, it's going to have a conversation with you, right? And so that is a sign that if you're doing this too much, and if your children, especially now, talk to your children and ask them, are they using AI? I think that could be a gateway to make sure AI is not answering their questions for them. Versus stuff where they should come to you with, now they go onto a computer.
And social media, bullying, I mean, it's a big thing. You know, somebody is bullying you or talking about you and you're sad and you're crying and different things like that. And, you know, that information on there will not go away. And sometimes children, just being children, will send pictures, inappropriate things, you know, and then somebody else shows somebody and somebody else shows somebody. So it's a lot of that. And a lot of students have even talked about killing themselves, but another friend might show the teacher or someone, and that has happened a lot too. And so there's a way that, you know, and what I've done, I've sent like officers to the house for a safety check if that student is not at home.
Gotcha.
And things like that. So we need to be accountable and just call a parent and say, look, my daughter said that your daughter said she no longer want to be here or whatever. I don't know it's true, but I just want to alert you. You don't want to do nothing and something happens.
And parents, don't get mad if somebody call you, right? Yeah. Because a lot of times I ain't gonna that ain't my business. You know how she act. Last time I told her about Sally Sue, she didn't say Sally Sue did it. And when she found out about it, baby, calm down, put your guards down, let the village help you. Thank you so much, Dr. Rita Williams. Hey, I'm your girl, Dr. Telisa Franklin. We'll be right back right after this.
Join the rhythm and feel the beat in our community where we're all complete. With Dr. Telisa, let's take a stand. Together we'll grow hand in hand.
From the
Dr.
roots of
Telisa
history
Show
to dreams we chase, Dr. Talisa Franklin shines a light on every face. In
At the
every
Dr.
heartbeat,
Telisa
there's a
Show.
story to tell. Gotta keep the culture celebrated as we excel here at the Dr. Talisa Show.
It's time for upgrade. Let's upgrade your skincare routine. If you suffer from acne scars, dark spots, or severe hyperpigmentation, you need the Tones by Coco Brightening Moisturizer, Rapid Dark Spot Corrector, and you have to try our Kojic Acid Sea Moss Soap. These products work so fast, you can see results in just 7 days. You have to try. Shop now and get 10% off your first order at tonesbycoco.com.
Join the rhythm and feel the beat in our community where we're all complete. With Dr. Telisa, let's take a stand. Together we'll grow hand in hand.
From the
Dr.
roots of
Telisa
history
Show
to dreams we chase, Dr. Talisa Franklin shines a light on every face. In
At the
every
Dr.
heartbeat,
Telisa
there's a
Show.
story to tell. Gotta keep the culture celebrated as we excel here at the Dr. Talisa Show.
What a conversation that we're having right here on the Dr. Telisa Show. I have an amazing guest, Dr. Rita Williams, a retired MSCS social worker, but the conversation has been, for me, enlightening and alarming, that we got to help our babies, and especially with suicide rates are more higher for black boys, and I'm a black mama, they got a black boy. Hey, I'm listening with my good ear, right? At all times, because you never know, right? Because Dr. Rita, a child could be doing well today, and like you said, bullying could do it, or they can be using AI, or any little thing can cause it. Or I wanted to ask you this: there is some children that is hurting because one of the parents maybe had a successful suicide, and they probably feel, well, if they did it to get away, I can do it too. Kind of talk about that.
Yeah, and suicide is not inherent. It's not, well, because you did it, it's in my genes or whatever. It's a learned pattern of behavior. Okay, and when I say that, it's like you say, well, if they said they just didn't want to deal with the problem, and that's what they did, and that's what I'm going to do. And so, and that has happened in families, So we need to, especially if a parent has committed suicide, get your child some help, okay? If you have any questions or any, the children are going through whatever, there's a 988 call or text. That is the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. And we're in the text savvy.
Yes.
988, that's all you have to do. And someone will call you back. Or you can just take your child to any, mental health facility, or you can call our officers now. You got the officers that are trained in mental health, the CIT officers and everything. So there's plenty of help. You have mobile crisis. It's 274, and I wrote it down, 7477, 24 hours a day.
Wow.
Just call.
And let me tell y'all, so while we're on that, Healing Hearts Foundation is an amazing organization that will help you
Mm-hmm.
even if you don't have insurance. Don't let that stop you. The Alliance Healthcare, they will see you. Pastor Young has an amazing organization with the Healing Center. Y'all, there is places out here that care about your well-being, and that's why it's imperative for you to reach out and get the help that you deserve, that you need to live. And so I want to come back. What are some the common myths about suicide?
Okay. Well, if you talk about it, and I had said if you talk about
Yeah.
it, that's just giving people permission to do it. And once you're suicidal, you're always suicidal, and that's a myth. That is not
okay.
true. And like I said, depression is the number one factor, but there are other, factors too. But if you get some help and you can overcome that, just ongoing counseling, and we all need someone to talk to, So those are some common